Hey guys, and welcome to Star Technology Progression Log 15, I think. Sorry for missing last week. I literally hadn't booted Minecraft until like Friday night. Um, I've gotten a lot of stuff done over the last week though. I've had a very productive week both in terms of writing and in terms of Minecraft. Um, First off, I guess I'll go ahead and get started with just this. I managed to actually make the ultimate battery. The last thing I had needed was neutronium, and it was something I had just forgotten about until uh, basically last Friday. So I set this up. It also means that I stripped out most of the wireless flux networks. I still have. I actually kind of need to remove some of these things. I was just draining all the other old storages into the battery over here, and right now I have it's continuously going up, which is nice. I've added an absolute monstrous amount of power generation as well. I really started throwing power at the problem, and this base is exceptionally power hungry. Um, go ahead and take a look over here. I almost doubled the number of turbines from last time, I believe. I've added several more. These are also using some of these things are using melodium turbines, but I've also started using stellarium turbines, which are the last tier of turbines that we'll be making. They are the UHV superconductor. It's exceptionally expensive. It takes fucking forever. At UHV, it's 1500 seconds for this. Fortunately, I run this at UEV, so okay. So we boost it at UEV. It's still almost 10 minutes. It's quite a lot, but you do get several ingots at the same time, but it's still quite a lot. um, yeah. So I've got several of these things, and each one of these turbines produces about 4 million uh EU a tick. Um, I am still going up on plasma because if we come over here with fusion, I actually added more fusion reactors over here. I added the last four or so that I had, and when I was building them, I actually fucked up and accidentally used casings instead of glass, but it doesn't matter. So all of these things are producing plasma, and I was actually still not producing enough. So then I added three Mark III fusion reactors that are also only do argon plasma. And then over here, right now this is doing something else. I don't know what this is doing. Duranium? Okay. I actually added another thing onto the stack, and that was when it's done doing everything else, like when it's, capped out on neutronium or whatever, it'll start making argon plasma as well. So I have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of plasma. Um, because I really needed a lot of power. Because many systems throughout the base have received a huge facelift. Stargate is exceptionally, incredibly expensive. So it's been there's been a lot going on. The big one, or one of the big ones over here, was um, Nether Stars. Nether Stars was rebuilt entirely using Nether Star looping. Um, right now, so we have the autoclaves got moved over here. These are using energized blaze and yada yada yada. This is because if we use the energized stuff, you get a guaranteed drop. Uh, Over here for the autoclave, energized nether star shards, which come from a polarizer. We then use the energized like versions of the fluids. We get a guaranteed shard drop with a 25% chance at another one, which is really it's really nice. So that's what we've been doing. We can't go up to the next tier. The next tier is um, let's see, requires nether tempered. Nether tempered is at UHV and requires injection mixing, and this stuff is post classic gate. This stuff all comes from uh, magmata alloy. Like I don't even know where this. Oh, this requires the quantum cooler, and this does require UEV circuits and stuff, which is something we're not doing. Um, Anyway, so this is the best Nether Star line is going to get, and we have a macerator over here. I'm using another requester network like I did before. This just requests the liquid uh, fluids over here. This one just grinds up the various elemental blaze rods into dusts. Extractor, we have two forming presses over here. This just make the raw impure nether stars. Move the implosion compressor over here. I am using a large material press for nether star shards. I had two IV forward chambers single blocks and they were way too slow. So I upgraded to a large material press and that was pretty decently fast. Over here in mystical agriculture, I actually upgraded to start. Well, first off, I upgraded the essence burners to UV essence burners. Um, the ones I had were really slow, and one of the things is I upgraded to Cryptand, which is a ZPM essence burner recipe in most cases. I think there was a few where it was IV, but I could be wrong. Um, so I upgraded to UV because to make it faster as well to use Cryptand, and Cryptand is very nice. It's awesome. You only use 1 millibucket in most cases, so it's fantastic stuff. I put a lot more of the catalyst in here, so it can buffer a lot more than before. And it's like 4 times we get 4 times the amount versus Crown, which is fantastic. Uh, it looks like you are not working. I'm I don't know. It looks like there might be some stuff that's being funny over here that I have to come take a look. I don't know. It should be working. I don't know why this isn't crafting stuff. Um, we're also over here. I'm duplicating Imperium Essence now, just passively, rather than duplicating Infernium. I duplicate Imperium because it's cheaper with Cryptand and faster too, I believe. All right. Uh, coming over. Let's see. What's next? Oh, Knackline got a facelift as well. We were using one thing I didn't realize is we used Quadria for neutronium fusion, and we were using a lot of it, faster than we were making actually originally. Even which one thing you guys had never seen is I'd actually upgraded over here with I had moved all the EBS. Wait, I don't think you guys saw that. I basically had 9 HIFs over here. I had 3 for each ingot, or I was planning 3 for each ingot, and that was too slow. So instead, I replaced them with 2 RHFs, running at UEV. I can't run any faster than UEV, by the way, unless you go post gate. This is as fast as you get. I actually have 2 of them now. Um, I'm only smelting the Quadria right now. In Rich Nequada, we have like 200,000 ingots, and Trinium, I have another 200,000 ingots. Nequadria, I'm hoping this will be enough for a while. I Neckline needs more. I don't know what I'm gonna do to make it faster. I'm not exactly sure what the bottleneck here is. I don't know if it's like I just don't have enough acid to do 128 recipes at once. That's probably what it is. I probably need to give it some more acid actually. Um, but I also kind of want another one of these. I don't know where I'd put it though. Um, I might like replace this with another chemical plant and then just like void the byproduct or just not deal with it because it's byproduct is like indium, which I don't really care about. Like, where am I doing that? Yeah, it's like indium and phosphorus. Like, eh. Could probably just do that in ore processing and just send it all to ore processing. I don't know. Um, let's see. What else? I'm kind of speeding. Oh, yes. So, this is where I'm doing a lot of the, this is where most of the upgrades are going. A lot of, for Stargate, there are a wide variety of new multi-blocks that are some of them, like the pressure heat chamber, or I don't know if is this the pressure heat chamber? No, this is just the regular heat chamber. That are really quite extensively large, and you need lots of them. Originally, I thought one would be enough, but with how much of the energized blaze, yada yada yada, that I need for all of the nether stars, like it's always crafting them. It's always doing it. Uh, it's really quite slow. So one wasn't enough, two wasn't enough, so I ended up making five. That's it's probably enough. I think five is probably enough. They're all running at UEV. They actually have UHV energy hatches. Um, this is because one of the recipes I needed to do in here was uh, was it like HV or no, it needed to do like actually UEV recipes. I forget which one it was. Let's see if I can sneak this. Oh, it was the voiding. It's probably. Oh, you know what it was? Nether Star Concentrate. That's what it was. That would need to be done at UEV, so all of them have UHV energy hatches. Coming over here, I haven't done any upgrades to the smelting area yet. I plan to add at least a couple more cats, probably at least two. I might go up to and just double the number of cats that I have. Tritanium isn't really that expensive for us anymore, so I can just fucking puke out a bunch of coils. I don't really care. Um, and the hits are also too slow now. I don't actually use them that much, but to do Nether Star crafts, we're gonna have to smelt absolute monstrous amount of ingots, like singularities. So you need these nebular singularities for you actually just need singularities in general for stuff. This is only one of the types. Let's see. So you need to use them for these platings that are then used in actually making the various Stargate blocks, and you use quite a few of them, right? Um, and these are expensive as fuck. Let's say we'll make a stack of them, right? This is what it takes: 17,000 blocks of uranium, 31,000 blocks of rhodium, and 3,500 blocks of beryllium. That's ridiculously expensive and would take fucking forever to smelt all that rhodium. Um, so this I'm a little bit scatterbrained. I'm very tired. I didn't get very much sleep last night. So how it works to make these singularities, as these singularities are made in a large quantum compressor with various kinds of funny fluids and fusions, right? Paradoxity, intangibility, and causality. Each one of these things is done in a different mode of the large compressor in the extraction mode, and they produce a primary infusion and a secondary infusion, one of each type. So a block of tantalum, for instance, does 18 millibuckets of paradox and 6 millibuckets of causality. Right, so different kinds of materials give you different sets, right? So if you want like the most causality from one, you can either use rhodium, or you can use ruthenium, so a flatline byproduct. If you want the most paradox, you either use tantalum or you use uranium. If you want the most intangible, you use either beryllium or you use bismuth. So you need blocks of that stuff, and you need an absolute monstrous amount of it. And originally, I had decided that I was going to use uranium because I thought that I'd have a lot of it. And the answer is no, I actually don't have a lot of uranium 238. I guess it's just everything I had felt really suspiciously low given how long ore processing has been running for. I I actually checked all the buses to wonder if somewhere it got stuck or something. And it didn't. I guess it still doesn't make sense to me that ore processing would be that slow. Like I only had 800,000 tantalum when I needed to start doing this stuff, and I was really kind of suspicious. I don't know. I still don't know if anything was voided. It's possible that it's just really slow, that I really wasn't um, you really either using ore processing to its fullest extent, or it's just not as efficient and I am maxed out or whatever. I don't know. Um, so that was kind of annoying, and that will bring me to another topic that I'll get to in a little bit. But so we have two extraction quantum compressors, two compressors that will make singularities. I have four rotor machines. I actually even have a few of these cute crude rods. I still have to make a couple more multi-blocks, but there are a grand total, I believe, of three multi-blocks I have left to build. I need the pressure heat chamber to make the final Stargate rods. I need the runic engraver thingamabobber. Where is it? Here we go. Runic circuit assembly station. I need one of these things. So this will make the various runic platings that I need for the rods, and then I have to make the final Stargate assembly, uh, which is ginormous, expensive, and makes me want to cry. This thing is huge. It's huge. It's also massively expensive. Like all like 567 titanium coils. Like, okay, really? The Stellarium casing's probably the worst part of this. Like, actually, at this stage, everything else is kind of like fine. The Melodium and the Stellarium casing is probably the most expensive, and just how slow it is to make that stuff. Everything else, I like Dragon Steel. I don't care. Prismalium, I don't really care. Fusion coil blocks, is that's like That's a little hefty. That it's gonna take a while, but it's not like the worst. Probably. We can actually even see if I can order them right now. Let's see, fusion coil. I need about, I don't know, 300. How much would that cost? Yeah, we could do that. Like, would it take a while? Yeah, it would take freaking forever, but it's not that bad. I'm glad I'm in that stage now where I can just order 300 fusion coils. Because before, like, if you asked me like 2 weeks ago, it would have been, oh my god, that's impossible. Um, so yeah, we're getting close to the end. I think we'll probably be done in about a week, or maybe not a week, maybe like 2 weeks. I think I'll finish around the end of February, early mid March, the latest, which will be cool. I also over here I set up the component part assembly. You need this for the UHV coils. UHV coil. You need it for the high voltage coil. This is only made in a component part assembly. Um, it's actually pretty cheap. It just uses plutonium, duranium, thorium. So it's really not that expensive. The most expensive part of it is just actually setting up the component assembly. It's basically just a fancy upgraded assembler, or it's just a fancy assembler that looks different. That's all it is. It does require a database that you can't use a hatch on it, which like a like a data stick hatch, which is really freaking annoying because there's only one goddamn thing you make in it if you're only going for Classic Gate. Like you just don't really make that much stuff in it. Uh, like there's only 33 recipes in here, and all of them are pretty like late. Like UEV valves. I guess you make UHV components in here, but we're not making any of these things. Like this is the only thing we're making. I don't even believe I can do Z alloy. Uh, like Zappa dust, I believe, comes from uh, I don't even know where this comes from. I don't even know what this I don't know. I guess we should check the line, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure all that stuff is post Abydos or Abydos content. So, uh, um, so yep, we have got UHV energy hatches. Unfortunately, the 64. Let's see, are the 16 amp ones? Where are you? Here we go. Oh, that's dynamo hatch. These require the high voltage ones, which require cerium tritelluride, and this stuff is uh post it's like the hot one stuff comes from here, which requires tellurium dust, which is this stuff is like I believe all of this stuff comes from Abydos. I don't know where this stuff comes from. Fluorite, cavalrite, huh? Anyway, um, yeah. All right. What's next? Aha, ore processing. Um, ore processing got some upgrades. I did mention a little bit ago that how expensive making the singularities was. Um, and especially about how I just didn't really feel like I had enough stuff. So last night I was spending a lot of time upgrading ore processing, and I also one thing I did over in ore production is that I upgraded all of these things to LUV and gave them the next tier, the final tier of parallel hatch. I don't know if there's a tier above this. I believe the super parallel hatch is the last one we'll make. There are the epic. Oh, here we go. This, yeah. The epic one requires UHV and UAV circuits. Um, it looks like these are not working properly, probably because I'm out of drilling fluid, huh? Um, but one thing is, in order to cope with like having three void extractors, because that's an absolute monstrous amount of ore, I actually stopped processing most of the ore that comes from here. I still process pentlandite because I do need platline byproducts or platline products for the singularities. Rhodium and ruthenium. So I just store the ores that I'm not processing because I couldn't bring myself to void them in bulk drives. And if for some reason I do actually, need some of this for whatever reason, I can just pull this drive out and slot it into ore processing, and then we'll just have, ore. we'll have it all back and we'll be able to process it. I also upgraded and changed. I was really annoyed at myself for not realizing that I could just do this. Uh, there was I think both the thermal centrifuge and the centrifuges were significant bottlenecks at one point. Um, and in order to fix it, I ripped them all up and I rotated them so I could get a lot more in here. And when I mean a lot more, I mean it's like 2.5 times more. It's an absolute shitload. They're also been given the better parallel hatch as well. They're all running at UV now. Before when I had set this up and they were all at ZPM, power was at a premium. The power is no longer at a premium. I can and I am willing to just throw more plasma turbines out, and I can even make the supreme plasma turbines if I actually want to. These are doable. I have a max computation of 144, I believe. This stuff would be kind of expensive, but all of this is well within our capabilities. I believe the most annoying part here would be the ruthenium tritanium stuff. But this is doable. Like, we can do this. Um, I can't do all of this thing. Like, I can't do the coolant boosting. The coolant boosting requires the quantum cooler. Superstate helium 3. Uh, Superstate helium 3 requires the quantum cooler. The quantum cooler would require me to set up another computer or two, which I could do for research, but I don't want to do that, but I would if I have to. This unfortunately the DNA disk does require, some fancy stuff here. The runic convergence board, like, this requires the runic circuit assembler. It's possible I could do this, but I don't really think I want to. Um, let's see. Assembly line. Unfortunately, it also does require, the runic circuits, which would be not possible, I believe. I believe this would require. Yeah, I don't know if how possible this would be. I believe this is just out of reach. I believe some of this stuff is uh, like, uh, post Abydos content. Um, Zirconium. Yeah, Zirconium is post Abydos content, I believe. I don't know where you get all this stuff from. This comes from one of the lines, like Zapalite dust. Yeah, Abydos, like Zapaligium dust comes from Abydos stuff, Abydos magma. So that's post CSG, which we'll be stopping at CSG. So, um, I could do a supreme plasma turbine and replace a bunch of the turbines that I have, and it is a cool looking turbine. It's a cool looking multi-block. I don't know if I'm gonna need any of them. I already have like 130 million EU a tick worth of power production. But I don't know. It might be something that I have to do. If I really want to. It does 6 times the parallels, and I would do lubricant boosting too. Tungsten disulfide. I don't even. How difficult is that? Liquid tungsten disulfide, tungsten trioxide. That is not bad at all. That's just tungsten and a few steps and some LCRs. Uh, you could actually just go straight from tungstate dust if you feel like it, which I don't really care. So, um, yeah. All of these multi-blocks except hydrochloric washing got some major upgrades. This one's also running at UEV with the better energy hatches. I added a few more macerators as well. I also added another pair of electrolyzers, and they're also been upgraded. I added a mixer over here for molten ore mixture. Unfortunately, I don't have enough lava. Lava is actually really quite annoying to make. In the barrels, it's pretty freaking slow. I could just throw more power at this problem, and that's probably what I'm going to do. There's also a recipe for the dimensional destabilizer, but I don't know if that's much faster, honestly. It does. You can use the parallel hatch on this one, so it probably is the better option. Uh, but I don't know how much lava I actually need for this. Like, I'm gonna be real. I don't really want most of the stuff that comes from the fractionating distillery. The one that I probably want the most would be pitch blend for uranium, but I grow uranium as a part of mystical agriculture, and I get a lot of it from mystical agriculture. Um, and I don't really need Sheldonite either, because while that is a good flatline precursor, I have pentlandite and I get fuckloads of that from the super fast void extractors. So I'm doing pretty good on that stuff. And also I might like this platline over here really isn't enough. I'd get more platline uh precursors and platinum sludge dust than this can actually process, and this doesn't get any faster. Um, so I might actually remove this mixer and replace it with a chemical plant, or I might just add. I have a bunch of extra rows over here. I might just throw down like 40 chemical plants or something for Flatline. I don't really know what I'm gonna be doing over here for Flatline. It's pretty fast. It's just not fast enough. So I don't know. Maybe I'll remove some of these other planned fraction distilleries because I'm just not making enough molten ore mixture to justify actually having that many. None of these things are even working anywhere close to their maximum capacity, assuming I upgrade them with a better energy hatch. They are currently capped out on power, but I can just throw a UV energy hatch this and then be done with it. So it's really not a problem. I'm not really that concerned with it. Um, I kind of sped through everything, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. It's only been like 30 minutes, which is saying something. There's probably something else that I missed. Um, let's see. What else? I haven't really done any more work over here on demand. I think, uh, I did actually add a fluid solidifier for like certain recipes, not like ingots or anything. I could do a control network for this. I probably should, but I just don't care enough. Like I'm still using an IAV fluid solidifier to solidify ingots, and it's really not that slow. I really don't care. Um, I ended up just not actually using the engraving case, like the laser engravers over here. I just don't. It's not a bottleneck, and I don't do enough engraving to justify doing them in such large batches where you need five of them in parallel. The one I have in the clean room is already really fast. I just don't really have anything that I'd want to put over here at this stage. Virtually everything I do is already really fast, and it's often not the bottleneck that's over here. The bottleneck for most of the things that goes on is either in the cats themselves over there, or it's somewhere over here in the sterile clean room. Usually around making like the actual wetware boards themselves. It's just the nature of how slow this stuff is. Uh, you have to do this in single blocks. I could add more single blocks, but I already have an absolute ton of these things, and I don't really. I guess I'd have to rearrange it. I could get more in here if I really wanted to rearrange it, but I'm just gonna. I think I'm just gonna be a patient boy. I think that's just what the answer is gonna be. Um, I'm already gonna have to do an absolute shitload of AFKing anyway. Weapons grade Naquita is you need like 70,000 ingots. I've already crafted a few of the Stargate rods, not all of them, but I still need like a vast majority of them. Um, Am I doing anything right now? Oh yes. I actually started a craft for another 5,000. I usually order them in batches of 5,000, and that takes a fucking hour and a half. I wish I was kidding. It takes frickin' goddamn forever to cook a 5,000 against a weapons grade Naquita. Um, so I have absolute shitloads of cat waiting time on me because this is like an over this is like an 11-minute recipe. This does produce like 17,000 buckets worth or 17 buckets of molten weapons grade. But it's still freaking forever, and it clogs up the cats for quite some time. So it's hard to figure out when I can actually uh you know do this recipe because as you can see I ordered another 5 energy hatches like an hour worth of playtime ago, and it's still like waiting on it can't do anything because it's locked up by quite a while worth of smelting, um, which is why I'm planning on just adding more cats. I think that would help a lot. I'm pretty sure if I did it via the mixer route and RHS, it would be slightly faster. But I don't really want to add mixer time. I'm just gonna like double the number of cats I have and call it a day. I think it's would be power hungry, but like I mentioned earlier, power will not be a problem. I have no everything at this point is cheap enough that I am willing to scale power as far as it needs to go, in order to handle what I want to do. I haven't plugged in some of these rotor machines because I actually forgot to do that. I should do that. Do I have any converters before I forget? I do. Because I will forget again if I don't do this. I don't actually know if I need four, but I built four because I felt like it, and I was like, all right, it's fine. Um, Hopefully I don't need too many more of these multi blocks. I could add a few more. I think it'll probably be fine. Um, like I said, there's gonna be a lot of AFKing involved in making Stargate. Uh, probably about like 20 hours worth of AFK time, maybe even more. But we are getting pretty close to the end. Like I have to make the last couple of multi blocks, and I think that might be about it, honestly. Um, like in order to make, I guess we can do a Stargate check, right? Okay, so Stargate, like a classic base block requires the Stargate component assembly, um, which so we have to do that. Can I? Yes, I can mark that. Stargate rods, which I need to make the pressure heat chamber for that, which is really not that expensive. I just have to do it. Uh, like the super pressure heat chamber. This is what you need. Like this is doable. I just have to do the research for it. I might actually even already have the research for it. Uh, Wait, don't I? Yes, this is the one. So we're gonna need this one. I believe Omega. This is also, yeah, post Abydos. Um, let's see. What else do I need for this? I'm also gonna need the various runic engravings. I still don't really know how this multi-block is going to work. And so you can actually give it, like, you fuel it runic conversion infusion, and I guess the longer it goes, the more you need, because it looks like you need 2 millibuckets per tick as long as this is active. And the more runic conversion infusion you're willing to feed this, the longer it takes, but the less likely you are to use a singularity. And while I'm generally of the mind that if it comes between saving power or saving resources versus saving time, you should save time. Uh, but these singularities are fucking expensive. The problem with using like a chance output here is that it's really hard to calculate how many platings you would get because it's RNG. Uh, so I guess this would have to be like sort of passively done, um, which really wouldn't be that big of a problem. I could set up passively using the control networks and stuff, and it would save me a lot of on the singularities, which is good because you guys saw how fucking expensive they were. Um, like the runic conversion matrix does come from, let's see, that requires primordial nitrosilicate. What does this require? That's just magnesium and nitrogen, which is not a problem. This is, what the fuck is this? Voidic. Let's see, this requires nitrobenzene, hydrogen gas, and netherite hexaamine sulfate dust. Which requires netherite trisulfate complex, which requires pure netherite. Okay. I'm actually probably gonna have to upgrade pure netherite line again, so I'll just go ahead and mark this. That's several steps, but it's and you can't even do this in a chemical plant, which is fine. Uh, Wait. Right. What do I need this for? Trisulfate complex. Oh yes, you needed it for astral fluorosilicate, which requires netherite tetrahydroxide, which requires more of that stuff, and calcium hydroxide, which requires. Why am I making rock salt? Yes, I have rock salt, which is good. Uh, Okay, I've actually done this line before. I remember I had been having to do this line for Monty Factory, for Skulk. This is going to be fucking annoying. uh, that's gonna be annoying. Okay, so I have a lot of LCR encoding ahead of me. It looks like the biggest part of this thing is going to just be uh, upgrading pure netherite line, because pure netherite line is really slow. I mean, not surprised that I have to upgrade it. After I built it, I fully expected having to tear it all out again, and I guess I have finally reached that point, which is fine. I don't really mind. I have chemical plants that can actually shorten part of the loop. Uh, I could see I can set up like a pre-loop of some of it, and then feed all the extra stuff into a chemical plant, I guess. I don't really know how I'm gonna do it, but I am gonna have to make it better. Um, let's see. But this is let's see, and I'm also gonna need the runic circuitry assembly station. Um, these are kind of annoying to make because I thought these were unstackables, like they only stacked in 16. That's not the case. If I want to do this automatically, I have to set up like a forming press with like a named press to make them named so they don't stack. Right now, I've made them just by literally going into the assembly line and moving the items around so it works, which is really obnoxious. I don't think I need too many of these though. Like, you need them for this stuff, which I need one for this. I need one of those casings, and then I need another for the actual multi-block itself, to actually craft. Or, no, wait, haven't I already done that research? Forget. I don't remember. Oh, apparently I did the research twice? No, I don't know. I guess I have to do another wave generator. Then I have to make this bad boy, and this will get me all the energized platings. I believe I also need the stabilized platings. Is this also what's used for it? No, what kind of platings do I even need? This is a good question. I'm just kind of doing a Stargate check. Like, let's see, engraved plating. Let's see, what does this turn into? Energized pathway plating. Uh, ancient deity. Okay, I don't actually need the energized pathway plating, which is nice. I'm gonna need engraved plating. This comes from nebular singularities, which I already have on demand. So I'm getting pretty close. It looks like the last major things are the handful of multi-blocks and then upgrading netherite line, and then waiting 40 million years to actually set everything up, which would that's gonna be a lot of AFK, but I'm okay with that. I'll just play Balatro in the background. I already do that. Sometimes I just order a bunch of Naquita and I just go play Balatro for like an hour. It's just something I'm gonna have to be okay with. Um, I could, continuously spam more infrastructure, but at a certain point, I think I'm just going to be sick of building the same multi-block over and over and over again. I'm already sick of building pressure heat chamber, these heat chambers. These things are annoying as fuck to build. They are very cool looking multi-blocks, though. I do have to say that. I've gotten pretty good at plugging them in, and I won't build anymore. Just they're not expensive. They require like 100 titanium coils. Uh, so like they're not, but that's like the most expensive part of them and like maybe the neutronium frames, but it's only a stack of them, so it's really not that much in the end. Like they uses a shitload of the enderium casings, but it's just enderium. Like who cares? Um, I don't. You only ever need one of these funny laser engravers. It's kind of slow, but you don't really use it all for all that much, and it's never really the bottleneck behind everything else. But man, I'm excited to be done with Stargate or Star Technology. I'll be back at some point. I don't know when I'll be back. Probably after GT Odyssey. But Odyssey is gonna be fun. At least I hope it's gonna be fun. It has lots and lots of cool multi blocks that are really big, and it looks like it'll be a good time. So I'm excited to go do something different because I have spent a fucking lot of time here. It's 25 days of worth of playtime, which is more than I spent in Monty Factory. And I'm really kind of disappointed in how slow I play modded Minecraft. It's really quite unfortunate. That's okay. It's not quite as much time as Monty Factory yet. It's 600 hours. I spent 700 in Monty Factory, and 400 of that was dealing with activated netherite. Not really, but it sure fucking felt like it. I swear to God, activated netherite sucked. um, but yeah, I am excited to be done, and we're getting pretty close to the end here. Uh, like there's not really too many more big things to make. Like rebuilding activated netherite line is probably the last thing I have to do. Oh my god, I called it activated netherite. Fuck no. Pure netherite here. I've only got 10,000, and that's obviously not going to be enough for all the platings that I need. Um, Especially if I go the more expensive save on singularities route. So that's gonna have to be like a balance of what I want to save on. Like, do I want to save on the Zenith singularity, like the various singularities, because these use materials that I have shitloads of, or do I want to save on the pure netherite dust? And maybe I just won't rebuild it, and I'll just see if how much I actually need for um, the how much pure netherite I actually need for all this stuff. Like, do the math or whatever. Um, but that's kind of a lot. Like a plating requires, like, let's say we do the cheapest route, right? So 130 seconds consumes one singularity. It's 1 millibucket a tick, which is 20 a second, right? So that's going to be 130 times 20, which would be 2.6 buckets of worth of verdict conversion matrix, which comes from 1 bucket. It's 1-to-1 from primordial nitrosilicate, which this requires more netherite, which requires 1 bucket of that. Voidic nitride requires so we need 2 buckets of netherite trisulfate, which is 2 netherite dust. So it'd be like 3 netherite dust per plating that way. And I don't know exactly how many platings I need. No wait, I needed this plating? Yes, right. Runic Pathway 24 for the actual classic base block, which would be like, so 24 times 2.6 is 6, so about a stack of activated netherite for the that, and then the runic engraved plating is would be about the same amount. 2.6 buckets per, so plus like 16 times 2.4. So about 100 for the base block. I need a ring block. How many ring blocks do I need? 14 ring blocks. That's a 8 times 2.4. Uh, Times 17 or 14. What did I say? 14. There would be another 300. Or 270. So it'd be about 370 activated netherite dust, plus the chevron block. Okay, so I might actually have enough if I do it the expensive route, right? That would be another like 20 times 2.4, which would be another 48, so up to like 400 dust or so, and then we'd need another, I don't know, so probably about 1,000 if I do it the expensive way, right? In terms of the expensive singularity way, and I have about 10,000, so I might actually not even have to upgrade activated netherite line if I'm willing to just throw regular ore processing products at it, which that's actually kind of doable. That's actually not that bad. Like, if I'm willing to wait already for the various rods and stuff, and I'm gonna have to wait on those various rods, with how fast ore processing is now, I'm like, it's really a whole lot faster. Especially since I'm focusing on just what I need, which is, the stuff that comes out of the rare ore residue and the other liquid. I forget what it's called. Let's see, rare ore residue. And the raw ore slurry. Like, that's where most of the stuff I want comes from. Like, I can always just throw more void extractors at the problem. Like, ore processing is pretty fast now. Um, it's actually still less efficient than it was in Monty Factory, and that's because of how the way stocking buses store items. It used to be like they pulled the first 16 items from the network, and I don't understand how they decide what the first 16 items are. In Monty Factory, it seemed like they pulled the largest, whatever was the number had the most items, right? That was quote unquote the first item in the network, was the largest item first. That is not the case. I don't know if it's the most recent item put in or the oldest item put in. It looks like it's. I've always found that the one with the most is at the bottom, so it's probably the first one. It's probably first in, first out, which is really annoying sometimes. It causes it to flicker a lot, and because it likes to do the ones that don't have enough to do a full parallel hatch first. So the ore processing really isn't as efficient as it could be, because it has to swap between like a bajillion small recipes rather than doing like the biggest one first. Um, I don't know if that's even something I can fix. I think that's just something I have to live with. And just adding more multi blocks means they can do more at once because like they all pull from each other or whatever. And I don't know. I've noticed that adding more machines kind of alleviates that issue, which helps a lot. So, um, which is one reason why I, flipped all the centrifuges on their side and added like double. They were a bottleneck. They will not be a bottleneck anymore. I will not accept bottlenecks anymore. Um, I have a lot of throughput available to me now. I think the next bottleneck would probably be the chemical baths. I might. I don't really want to have to tear these up either, but I might to fit even more in. It'd be really funny to have the chemical baths on their side, but at this point, everything goes. All everything for the ore processing god, because if I am going to go down the expensive singularity route, uh, well, I'm going to add a lot more void extractors. I can't really do the next tier because to make raw ore slurry, there's actually the aqueous void excavation, and this just only gives you the fluid that you want. Unfortunately, this does require UHV robot arms and the zircaloy. Zirconium again comes from uh, where does zirconium is a post-Abydos thing. Um, Tellurides. Zirconium dust is post Abydos, so I can't do that. So the only source for the rare ore residue uh, is the void extractors. This is where I'm limited to, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. So uh, I really do wish that this was not post Abydos, but it is. I guess it's just how it is. So I have plenty of room over here that I can just throw down tons and tons and tons of void extractors. I overbuilt the size for ore processing. When I designed it, I had not realized how powerful ore production systems were compared to how powerful ore processing systems were. I could get away with something that was half this size, or maybe even a quarter of this size. I just don't use that many machines. Like over here, I haven't even parallelized these sieves that are doing blackstone and doing regular gravel. Like I just don't use those materials very much. Um, I still haven't upgraded any of these other ones, so these are all running at either IV or LUV with the 16x parallel hatches, and that's still more than enough. I might start grinding up regular emeralds for beryllium as well, since that would be a source of extra beryllium, and I am going to swap to using beryllium over uranium or what was beryllium blocks again? I'm I think I'm already using beryllium. Actually, I believe yes, it was either beryllium or using bismuth. And I mean, beryllium also gets me purple, so I can let's see, what else could I save on? Like what else gets me, yellow? I could do something that's slightly worse at it. Rather than using it as a primary, use it as a secondary as well. Uh, Instead of like using rhodium or ruthenium, I could do bismuth or I could do tantalum. So I don't know. I have like lots of decisions. I think it's a fun little mechanic, a fun little thing to do. Um, but there's lots of decisions there, and it gives me a reason to upgrade ore processing even more, which I'm happy about because I like ore processing systems. So you won't see me complaining about, oh no, more ore processing. So that'll be fun. I'm gonna just throw more power at the problem probably and throw more machines. Um, I don't really want to tear up all the macerators, but I could flip them on their side as well because they're 4 high rather than 5 wide, so I could get more in here. Um, That might be a little bit helpful. That might be helpful as well. I could also just extend this out a little bit and just add even more machines. I don't think mass faders will be a bottleneck though. Like I said, I think it's going to be the ore washers since they're probably the slowest out of all of them. Maybe the electrolyzers, but the electrolyzers do huge batches at once because the way electrolyzing works, like you get like it takes like 10 dust or something for an output or whatever. So it does like hundreds of dust at the same time, or even thousands. Uh, so you can see this is not even anywhere near close to being doing what it can do, like maxing out or whatever. So um, I think that's probably about it for the craft. I don't have really much else to say. I kind of sped through a lot of this stuff. Um, look, I still have the shitty little oil drill down here. Uh, oh, it looks like it's actually it finished. I wonder why. Oh, wait, you're just blocked up because I never really upgraded oil processing. I bet I still. Huh. What are you? What's your issue over here? Are you actually just like full? Are your output hatches full? Oh, heavy oil. Interesting. I thought this was Oh, you know what? I'm just not pumping it in fast enough, huh? I'll go ahead and swap this just because I feel like it. Sure. We'll do. Give me an LUV pump. That should be fine. Um, that's probably it for the craft anyway. In terms of like other, I guess, quote unquote life updates, Ashketon's relaunch has been surprising. Been going surprisingly well. And here's a funny thing. Um, Author Premium on Royal Road gives you access to a refer tab. That basically tells you how people found your fiction page, right? Like how people found your main fiction page. A grand total of one person clicked on the link from a YouTube description, which I thought was really funny. Oh my god, this is gonna be stuck behind fucking weapons grade Naquita for a goddamn hour. No! I think I have I'll just use an IV pump for now, just so it keeps going. Um, a one person from YouTube clicked on it, which I thought was really funny. Um, so that was neat. Uh, but Escher's relaunch has been going really, really well. Actually, I pretty much am back to where I was when I, um, did the relaunch. So I took it down and then did some minor edits and then put it back up. I'm basically where I was originally, in about a fifth of the time, a little bit less, probably closer to a sixth maybe. I'm about the same place when 20 or so days in than when I was about 5 or 6 months in, which is crazy how effective it was. I'm ecstatic with it. Unfortunately, I keep checking stats page, and it's really quite brain poison. It's really unfortunate. I can't help myself. I'm a big fan of stats and numbers, obviously, as a an engineer kind of guy. And I like data, even though it hurts me. It's like forbidden knowledge, right? Maybe all those people in fantasy and fiction who are holding cursed objects and couldn't hold themselves back from forbidden knowledge or whatever. Maybe they had something going for them, and maybe they were a little bit realer than we thought. I simply would not hold the cursed artifact, and me looking at my phone 23 hours a day, having psychic damage dealt directly to my brain. Like, you know what? Maybe it was a little bit realer than we thought, right? Um, but I've been getting an absolute monstrous amount of work done. Last month was the first month, like January was the first month in about 6 months that I had. I guess weapons grade Naquita is done. Was the first month in a while, or like in 6 months since like July, that I had actually like reached my goal, like a monthly goal that I set. Uh, which is nice, and I think I'm on track to do it again this month as well. Um, I hope. I have to. I try to average about 1,000 words a day, and that is a lot. It's a lot, a lot. It's like four. If I do that every single day without fail, it's about 4.5 novels a year. Uh, I believe the metric that was being used was about an 80,000 word novel, like 1,000 words a day. Let's see, right? So it would be 365,000 or so divided by 80,000. Yeah. So assuming an 80,000 word novel, which I won't be writing, I'd write about 100,000 word novels or more. Um, But still, using the 80,000 mark, that's four and a half novels a year. Stephen King, for instance, only writes two, historically writes two. So that's a pace faster than Stephen King. So, second traditional authors, I'm simply built different. Unfortunately, that is an absolute murderous pace. I'm not gonna lie. But it gets easier. Like it legitimately gets easier. Like yesterday, I was thinking about. I was like, oh, I need a break. I got stuck on something, so I'm gonna go play Battlefield or whatever. And then I got pissed at Battlefield because the hit rig in that game kind of sucks at times. It's really quite obnoxious. Um, I got so mad at Battlefield. I just went, fuck it. I'm just gonna go write instead, and I wrote 1,200 words. I did that twice this week. On Tuesday, I was like, oh, I'm gonna take a break today, but I still want to write a little bit, just because it's good to keep that momentum. Because 1,000 words a day is hard at first, but if you do it long enough and you force yourself to do it long enough, it becomes easier. It really does. Um, more and more days, I'll write for a couple of hours and go, oh wow, it's only been like 4 hours. I'm done. I finished my 1,000 word a day, and I still do have to write several hours to hit that goal. Um, and it still does lead to problems writing that fast because I focus on things that I can write quickly. But that's what editing is for, and going back and changing some things, and it's not perfect. Um, I wish editing sucks. I wish I just wrote it all right the first time. But you can't edit a blank page. So, 1,000 words a day gives me a lot of stuff to edit, which is good. Um, I just wish that I was better. But I'm slowly getting better over time, which is nice. And the way I get better is by writing a lot, so 1,000 words a day has some given, pros and cons. I wish I actually could write more. Several of my colleagues in the author space write like way more than that. Like, there's a guy in my space called Raven's Dagger, and he's one of the most prolific authors in the web serial space. Uh, so I am only writing one story right now. I'm not writing more than one. Raven's Dagger is writing something like 6 to 8 concurrently. It might even be more. I haven't counted because he recently launched another one, which is ridiculous. And the way he does it is he writes 3,000 words a day, every single day, pretty much without fail. He is known to be chronically terrible at taking breaks. Like, he has to be forced by multiple people to take breaks, and he still sometimes writes on his breaks. Um, so, like, that's kind of what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to write, like, my goal would be to write about 100,000 word novel or so in about 3 months. Like, that would be my goal as, like, an author. And I actually, at one point, plan to try and do a standalone 100,000 word novel in about 3 months. I would probably spend about a month. Like, the idea would be I'd spend about a month planning, plotting, and creating a structure, and then possibly even doing some chapter pre-writes, and then spend about 2 months writing the book. That would be about 2,000 words a day, a little over 2,000 words a day, pretty much every day for 60 odd days straight. It would be you know, a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I did a in July. I did a 2,000. The one other month that I actually hit my monthly goal. That was a Rimo challenge, a Write More challenge, and that was an average of 2,000 words a day, and that was a grueling pace. That was truly a grueling pace. Um, it would require me doing that for 2 months straight, which I'm not really capable of doing yet. Um, that being said, though, I think something like having the structure already done originally would help a lot. Because I am capable of writing, 1,000 words a day, while having to make decisions, and that does add extra strain. That does slow down the process. Um, so I think that if I had the book pretty much planned out, like I said, plotted, like I want to hit these plot points. I think like these chapters, this is what a chapter would have to do in order to reach that. Um, I don't know if I could do that at this stage. I find myself I really struggle with planning to that degree. I like to do a lot of discovery writing, and I feel like too much outlining will make me hate what I want to do or just not able to plan at all. I just might be fundamentally unable to do that. But I think it would be at least a good project to try. I think it would be something that would be standalone as well. Uh, my current idea actually would be to use something from Stellaris Invicta, the Templin Institute. Templins Institute, Stellaris Invicta, Antari's Confederacy to try and write something in basically an existing world, one that I don't have to make a ton of decisions on, names and places and things to do and big events and stuff. It would already be created. So it basically just be like a fan fiction, more or less. I don't think that would be a problem. I hope not. They have like a fan works in their Discord, so I assume not. Obviously I wouldn't try and sell it for money, since you can't really do that with fan fiction, unless you file the serial numbers off, which would kind of defeat the whole purpose of writing there anyway. Um, anyway, that would be like sort of like a project to do to help me grow as an author in terms of uh, learning how to plan, learning how to plot, learning how to write quickly, do pre-writing, all that stuff. Um, I just don't really know what it would be about because Stellaris Invicta is obviously, for those who don't know, Temple Institute. They basically use a game of Stellaris as a world building exercise. They create a nation. They build a lot of history around it. They build other alien empires and stuff with their own histories, and then they play a game of Stellaris, uh, leading that nation that they've built. And um, then they use the events in the game to build like a long world, like the history of a nation, right? So they have like planet names and battles and people and leaders, and they use all of that stuff from Stellaris to actually cobble together this world building. I have a big world building document that you can look at. Um, and so when it comes to sort of that setting, it means that the default understanding of that setting comes from a larger big picture format. Because you are leading the nation, it lends itself towards the understanding of almost like a space opera side, right? Because you know the fleets and you know the battles and you know the grand strategy of it all, right? Which means I don't think you'd really want to write it from a space opera side, at least from like the meaning of a big picture, right? You wouldn't want to write it from the perspective as great, admirals and leaders and stuff like that. You'd want to write it from a smaller scale. My point is that because the default understanding of Stellaris Invicta comes from playing the game Stellaris, which is a grand strategy game, it means that the default understanding is the big picture. So, in order to truly explore the idea of Stellaris Invicta as a concept, a world building concept, the best way to do that would be from something that was smaller scale. So, you wouldn't want to necessarily do it with like galaxy defining, uh, you know, we have to save the galaxy or whatever, like Star Wars or whatever, right? You'd want something that would be smaller scale, space western esque, and I have no idea how to write that. I have no idea what I would do, either in terms of plot or any of that. Which would be kind of the point, I guess, of the project would be to learn how to do something like that. Like Eshkatan is straight up like sort of fate of the world, right? So it's hard to get smaller stakes than everything explodes or whatever, right? It's hard to get larger stakes than that, right? It's like where do you go from there? Um, so I'm good at like my the knowledge that I have and what I currently understand is how to do large, you know, era defining stakes. So I'd have to learn how to do something smaller scale that is like, look, if these characters fail, maybe they die, something bad happens to them, and that's terrible. Obviously, the whole plot around them is making sure that doesn't happen. But it wouldn't be like if they fail, the nation explodes. Millions or billions of people die. The world ends, right? That's there's like a disconnect. Like the world would go on even if these characters fail. And you can still do stuff like that. I feel like those things still work. The question is like John Wick, right? John Wick was a great movie series. If he fails, he dies. Like the world keeps going. The world doesn't care. If John Wick dies, the table keeps going. The Continental they'll keep running or whatever. All that stuff will keep going. Um, so lots of movies don't have era age defining stakes and world defining stakes, right? So like uh, I have to probably would have to read a lot of space westerns since I think it would, if anything, would be focused on space westerns. Um, like you know like it would be sort of that sort of space western style of small scale handful of characters traveling across a large galaxy. It's already been sort of fleshed out. I don't know. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough about mostly about random crap that has nothing to do with Minecraft at all. But I've mentioned this several times in the past. I like to talk about what I'm doing over the last couple of weeks because, uh, you know, some people like to. I don't treat this as a job, I should say. Like, obviously not. Everything I do is like mega scuffed, um, and I don't do almost any editing at all. Like, the only time I do editing is like if I have to like cut up a clip or something, or I don't. There's like long pauses because I have to like grab something from around me and like it's making noise or whatever, and so I just mute my mic and I don't edit those out at all. Like I just did that. um uh and you guys hear me like I don't like edit out me like me taking sips of water, or I don't edit out like me forgetting what I'm talking about, or trailing off or something like that. Because I just like to talk about what I'm doing, because this is I'm happy that so many people are liking what I'm doing. And it's nice to see that people enjoy, watching these things. But these are ultimately for me, and they help keep me going because I am excited to do these videos. And while it's nice to know that people are watching, I think I would do them even if nobody watched, just because I enjoy the chance to like recap the week. Like this is like, oh, what did I actually get done this week? From like a big pic, a big picture perspective, right? Like, because when I'm in the moment and I'm building the system and then that system and then this system and that system, it takes a while for me to like zoom out and go, oh, what did I actually get done? And this is a chance for me to go, oh, this is what I actually got done. And I also just kind of like yapping, so I'll just start talking about stuff. And writing a book series is a pretty big part of my life. So it's like, oh yeah, I also got that done and this done. And I've had a very busy week, a very productive week, and I'm very happy with what I've got stuff done, both in terms of video game stuff as well as my hopefully burgeoning career as an author of some kind. Um, I am hoping that one day, as that author, I get to sell my book to a publisher, so I don't have to do any of the self-publishing stuff because that sounds awful. But that's a topic for I don't know later once Eschaton is done, or blows up. Hopefully, I don't know if it'll blow up. I kind of don't have too many hopes that it'll become turbo mega all super ultra popular. I'm still quite happy with how it's been going. But yeah. Anyway, that's enough for me. This video is already long enough as it is. Um, so I hope you guys have had a good week. My week was pretty good. And I want to again apologize for not having a video last week. I just never really got around to playing because I was taking a break because I was really burned out. But I'm ready to go. I'm rocking. I'm kicking ass. Taking names. Building cool lines. So I hope you guys have a good upcoming week, and I will see you all again next week.